Welcome into the Bucknuts Morning 5. I am editor Dave Biddle, joined by the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kurlick. And Bill, we're going to break this into three topics today. Topic number one, Marcus Baugh has been indefinitely suspended. His third arrest in the 8 months he's been at Ohio State, all for underage consumption. You know, maybe they'll give him another strike here, Bill. I tend to think if this news is true, I think 3 strikes and you're out. I think we'll probably never see Marcus Baugh play a down of football for Ohio State. What are your thoughts on the Marcus Baugh situation?
I certainly think that's very possible. You know, how many, like you said, how many strikes is too many strikes? We don't know for sure right now. Ultimately, the only person that knows the answer to that is Urban Meyer, and he's not obviously saying right now. He'll, I'm sure, take a good look at the entire situation and make his decision, but a lot of talk of Ohio State and how will they have enough spots in this recruiting class to get everyone in that they want to get in. Right now, they are one over the limit. They have 22 commitments, and they have 83 prospects on scholarship, so that's one over the 82 limit. So, as I've been saying, there's always normal attrition. You never know how it's going to come from, and, you know, this could be, unfortunately, one of the ways that it happens through this normal attrition process. You know, kids that are 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, unfortunately, they do get in trouble, but, again, you've got to wonder, you know, how many times is too many times.
Topic number 2. David Njoku out of New Jersey, 6'4", 220, an athlete prospect ranked as number 70 athlete in the nation according to the 24/7 Sports Composite, was offered a scholarship by Ohio State yesterday. Coincidence, Bill? I think not. This, to me, sounds like this is going to be the replacement to Marcus Baugh. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but, you know, Marcus Baugh news comes down, David Njoku gets offered. Am I reading too much into this, Bill?
No, I don't think you're reading too much into it, but I will say that Ohio State has been interested in David Njoku. They've been recruiting him, and, you know, I had a story on Bucknuts last week that he would be making an official visit to Ohio State. At one point, he had told me that he might visit the weekend of January 18th, which of course was this past weekend, but then he told me on Sunday that he would be making an official visit to Ohio State January 31st. Then the offer comes out, of course, as we know now with what happened with Marcus Baugh. So no, I think it's very plausible that David Njoku could be the next commitment for Ohio State and a replacement for Marcus Baugh. Njoku is a 6'4", 215-pounder, and he's told me that Ohio State is recruiting him as a hybrid tight end, wide receiver type guy. And, you know, what was Marcus Baugh coming out of high school? Well, he was more of a tight end, but he was a hybrid type guy that in high school he split out sometimes at wide receiver and then he plays tight end. So, yeah, it's certainly possible. And right now he has, Njoku I'm speaking of, has Ohio State very high on his list. I wouldn't be surprised if the Buckeyes make a strong push, but he ends up at Ohio State.
And he will visit Ohio State, not this weekend, but next weekend of January 31st, the weekend right before signing day. We're 2 weeks exactly from signing day right now. So this is your time of the year, Bill. And then topic number 3. Demetrius Knox has Ohio State fans all hot and bothered. He has scheduled an official visit to UCLA. However, Ohio State's calling in the A-team. Urban Meyer, Tom Herman, and Ed Warner. Have you heard of those guys, Bill? Those guys will be in-house with Demetrius Knox today to try and seal the deal with the 4-star offensive guard from Texas. Should Buckeye fans be worried here, or do you think Knox will be a Buckeye?
Well, I think in the end he'll be a Buckeye, but it'll be very interesting to see what tack that the Buckeyes take with him today. You know, Knox is a guy that always seems to find the spotlight, so to speak. You know, even though he has been a long-time Ohio State commitment, he's been in the news a bit, and, you know, this is kind of the latest edition of the news. He got visited by Jim Mora from UCLA as well as UCLA's offensive line coach. They visited with him. He then decided to make, or at least schedule, that official visit to UCLA for the January 31st weekend. But what tact do the Ohio State Buckeye coaches take today? Do they tell him, you know, if you want to make that visit, then, that's fine. We know Ohio State is the best place for you, and you'll pick the Buckeyes in the end? Or do they tell him, we need to have your commitment locked down and solid because we have a numbers crunch, so to speak? You remember Jim Tressel in the day. He used to at times encourage players to visit elsewhere so they would know Ohio State is the school for them. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what path the Buckeye coaches go today, and then certainly what Knox does. In the end, though, I think whether he makes that visit to UCLA or not, I tend to think he will be a Buckeye.
I like looking at some of the similarities and differences between two of my favorite coaches of all time, Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer. I think this is definitely one of the differences. I cannot see Urban Meyer encouraging Demetrius Knox to take a visit to UCLA. Like you mentioned, Jim Tressel would do that, though, but Urban Meyer will not do that. He will not encourage him to take any visits. I can assure fans of that. Well, great stuff out of the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kurelic. As I mentioned, we're 2 weeks from signing day. This is a great time to sign up for Bucknuts.com. Try our 7-day free trial. You don't want to miss all the great stuff we have, such as in the boarding house today. We're going to have a note on Kyle Dotson. Will he be ready to be a starter this coming season? A source has the inside scoop. So stay tuned to Bucknuts. We have plenty of great stuff on the site today.